evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Ken Gilbert of the Pawtuxet Rangers, Rhode Island Militia. And as the Sergeant mentioned, we are not British regulars, although we wear the red coat. Our regiment was chartered on October 29th of 1774. We have been continuous since then. The charter has been out there continuously since then. Believe it or not, we're still considered to be part of the armed forces. We are the governor's troops. We are a state militia. Rhode Island still has a militia system. Regiments such as the Pawtuxet Rangers, Kentish Guards, Kingston Reds, Gloucester Light Infantry, Newport Artillery, they're all part of the Rhode Island militia system. Now, given the information of our charter year, our charter date, October 29, 1774, why do you think we're wearing red coats? The Declaration hasn't been signed yet. We're in rebellion, not looking for independence. Many people were disaffected, of course, by the whole colonial system. If I were a blacksmith, for instance, you'll let me repair a steel shovel, but you won't let me make one. I have to buy them from England. All sorts of different things like that. People had complaints, but they weren't necessarily seeking independence at that particular point. So we were mimicking the mother country to kind of say that, yes, we're in rebellion, but we're still loyal to the king, so to speak. Also given evidence that the Providence Grenadiers wore red. The Kentish, if you follow down from Providence down to South County, the Providence Grenadiers wore red. Then you skip, then comes Pawtuxet Village, then you skip that to East Greenwich, the Kentish Guards wore red, and the Kingston Reds obviously wore red. So it's not out of the realm that we would wear red. Now, what I'm wearing is modeled after a British officer's dress uniform. Some things that distinguish me as an officer rather than an enlisted man is, one, the gorget. I'm often asked about this. This is actually the last vestige of armor. Men right up through the 17th century into the early 18th century wore full body armor into battle. Whereas as muskets became more prevalent on the field and more reliable, the powder became better and the like. Again, we're at the dawn of the industrial age. So a lot of advances are made in chemistry and things like that. The powder was really good. The steel was becoming really good. So the armor became superfluous, a hindrance on the battlefield. So the armor disappeared until this last piece, the neck piece. And what it shows is that I hold a commission. Now you notice I have the King's Cipher. Again, we haven't declared independence yet. We received our charter through the colonial legislature of the colony of Rhode Island at the time, but that in turn came from the crown. So therefore I still have the King's Cipher. Other things to show I'm an officer. I am wearing a silk sash, and this is just as tall as I am and just as wide as I am, which is saying something, because it can also be used as a litter to take me off the field or to wrap me in if necessary. Other things that show I'm an officer, well, this is obvious. I'm carrying a walking stick, and I can be at my leisure and loll about like this all day and give orders. I would give the order to my sergeant. I would never speak directly to the private. I would give the order to my sergeant. My first sergeant would see to it that the orders are carried out by the privates. But this is, again, it's a status symbol that I have this. I'm also wearing boots, riding boots. I would probably be mounted on a horse. And I would also be several ranks back in the line of battle. Not out of cowardice, not because I'm seeking protection from the men, in front of me, but so I can see what's going on. If I'm in front of the men, I can't see what's going on. All I can see is the enemy in front. But I can go back, and if I'm back behind the lines, I can actually see the entire field and ascertain what needs to be done. I would also probably have a drummer right next to me. The drummer's with the signal corps. And I would tell the drummer quickly, beat flank to the right or flank to the left, and that drum beat would be taken up and brought to the front lines. And the junior officers and my sergeant would know exactly what to do by that drum beat. Other things that distinguish me as an officer, well, I'm carrying, in this case, I'm carrying a telescope, so that, again, I can take a look at what's going on the field. I carry a small sword as a senior officer. It's a stabbing, not a slashing sword. It's more for directing than anything else, but I could protect myself in a battle or in a duel. There's enough of a tang down here that I could protect myself from a blow. And I also have what they call a sword knot. This is a very fancy decorative one. I probably wouldn't wear this into battle. I probably would wear a leather one because it's a little bit more efficient, but you can see your hand can go through here while you're holding your sword. So it actually has a practical purpose, even though this is decorative. It's made of gold bullion. It's made by the same company in England that's been making them for about 300 years now. But that way, if the sword does get knocked out of my hand in battle, I don't have to say, oh, excuse me while I pick up my sword. You know, it's right there for me. Some of the expressions we have come from, we use today, come from the sword. For instance, you're going to pummel someone. This is the pummel of the sword. You know, you're going to pummel them. You're going to do something to the hilt. Here's the hilt of the sword. And if you stab someone all the way through, it would be to the hilt. You might have heard the expression about a person that is, well, they're a really decent person, but they have their foibles. The foible is the weakest part of the sword, the end of the sword, and the most prone to breakage. And a person's weakness is their foible, same thing as the foible of the sword. And people ask me, well, is this what you fight with? And I would say, well, no, this is not what I fight with. They are what I fight with. This is the most powerful weapon on the field. In this picture, I have my infantry laid out, my artillery laid out, and all I have to do is raise my sword like this and say, Sergeant, have your men volley fire. And then one stroke down, and I'm unleashing a couple hundred muskets. So this is probably the most powerful weapon actually on the field. And again, it's for directing. You know, flank your men to the right, flank your men to the left, you know, move forward, retreat, or anything like that. So this is more for directing. First sergeant, would you also, I should say, also I'm wearing gloves. These are leather gauntlets. Again, I would probably be riding on a horseback, so, you know, enlisted generally didn't wear boots, they would wear gaiters, and the sergeant will explain that too.
So we'd be wearing the gaiters with us because we want something much lighter on our feet. But we wouldn't be probably riding a horse either, so we really would need good boots. Now, if you saw his sword, you'll notice mine's a lot different. It actually has something that you would fight with. I have probably more protection on my hand because I'm actually going to be doing the fighting. He wouldn't be. So, plus I could still give orders with it if I had to. Also, contrary to belief when you watch the movies and such, a lot of the fighting with a musket, so the musket here, everybody would line up. They're horribly inaccurate. So that's why everybody would line up. It was an honor thing. Most of the fighting after 2 to 3, maybe 4 shots, most of your fighting was being done with this. Now, private take yours up, mount yours, just so they can see. So basically, you're fighting with a big spear. It was a spear that could fire a musket ball, basically.
If you're lucky sometimes.
Yeah. And a lot of times that didn't work. Also, once you took it off, this could be used for hand-to-hand, close quarters. It's also a very versatile tool. You can use it for a stake in your tent. You can use it for cooking over the fire. You can use it as a candle holder. It's basically the duct tape of the day. So we have our haversacks. These are what we carry all our stuff, plates, bowls, if we had things like that, anything that you needed, tools. We're carrying a cartridge box. That's where we keep our cartridges for our musket. I'm wearing a wool sash, which would distinguish me as being a sergeant. Also, I have sergeant's epaulette here. You notice he doesn't have any. It's private. That's how you distinguish everybody along the way. So he would give less. He said he would give me the orders, then I would give him the orders, or the corporal if it would be me. We're wearing, if you notice, we're actually wearing what looks like an officer's uniform as well. Because we're a parade group, we're still an active militia, so we reenact, but not all the time. So we still have the brass buttons that wouldn't necessarily be there. we probably have pewter, where he would look like that as the officer. We would probably have all pewter buttons. We also probably wouldn't have plumes on our hats. But since we're an actual modern militia, even though we're retro in a sense, we have a little more things than say he would have had on his.
There's also a concession to modern times as well. When we are doing battle reenactments, or when we will go out for a weekend and live as they did in the 18th century, under canvas as they did, we will take these modern things off. Like you notice, I have the cross cannons, which indicate that I and he as well is cannon qualified. You've done all the positions on the cannon, including at least one time being able to command the cannon. The cannon is like the apex, the epitome, being in the artillery, to understand how to run that cannon. I am a gun captain as well, so I have also have the cross cannons. And I also have the modern insignia to show that I am a lieutenant colonel. But again, that goes back to the fact that I'm part of the Rhode Island militia, and we have the traditions as such. And we do a lot of stuff with the state. At any given time, the governor could call us, or the governor's office could call us and say, hey, guess what, Rangers, we need you at the State House because these dignitaries are coming or whatever. Can you provide fife and drum and color guard? And it's like, yes, sir, we can. And because again, we are the state militia. But we can always have a little bit of an out because we're also what they call an independent chartered command. And all we have to do is say, we feel that Pawtuxet Village is in imminent danger of being invaded, and we need to stay here at our homes because the militia company is to protect its hometown. So we kind of have that out, but we've never done that. It's when the governor calls, we have it done.
So one last thing we have here, you'll notice this is a lot bigger. Now, that's because I'm on the artillery, and I'm a sergeant who would typically carry what's called the carbine, which is much shorter, because we may need to sling it a lot more often than they would. Plus, we want them to have a longer barrel to be a little more accurate.
And also, they have a little bit more reach with the bayonet. As you said, it's we looked upon it as kind of a pike that happens to fire once in a while. Even with these reproduction weapons that are made out of modern steel, using modern black powder, we're lucky if we can go through a parade without having misfire after misfire. And same thing in battle reenactments as well. So it was even less reliable. So they kind of pictured it as a pike that fires. And the main weapon, of course, was the bayonet. You would drill for hours and hours on end on the bayonet.
All right.